Grammar Girl here. Hi, I'm Mignon Fogarty, and this week I'm doing a video podcast because I want to show you how I organized my upcoming book, The Grammar Devotional. I used paper, pens, and tape. So why would I do such a thing? Well, I started out with a spreadsheet, and that worked fine until I got about halfway through the book. And the book is organized with 365 daily tips to help you write better. So every tip is an individual entity, and it has to work well with all the other tips in the book in a certain order to make sense. And once I got about halfway through the book, it became unwieldy. I was scrolling and searching and cutting and pasting and spending all my time trying to figure out where things would go, and yet I still couldn't see the big picture of the entire book. Fortunately, right around that time, I ran into two different people who got me thinking about paper as a possibility for organization. First, I was speaking at Kripalu, a yoga retreat at the Berkshires, and they took me into their control room, which is amazing. It has colored Post-its over an entire wall, and they can see their entire year's schedule with all the rooms and all the classes. Different colored Post-its represent different classes. And they were raving about how easy it was to see what was going on and see what holes they needed to fill, and if they needed to change rooms, just zip zip, they'd move the Post-its and the rooms were changed, and they loved it. The second person who recommended paper was Mary Gooderson, a novelist I heard speak at the Field's End Writers Workshop in Bainbridge Island, Washington. She was talking about her writing process, and at one point she went to a hotel room, cut up her novel, and spread the pieces all around the room so she could see that the plot points were happening at the right times and the story arcs were in the right places. So that was the second person who recommended paper. So with that great advice from two different people, I decided to print my book out in a tiny font, cut up all the pieces, and tape them on my wall. But to get a sense of the organization, I had to categorize them. I have pink V's that represent entries that compare two different kinds of words like log on and log off, or flammable versus inflammable. The green half outlines are for capitalization. The blue D's are for entries I need to define, such as cliches or idioms. The blue outline is punctuation, and some entries have two categorizations. This one is about parts of speech, but it also has an illustration. And I have quizzes, word jumbles, and word searches. One great thing about having them on the wall in front of me is that if two entries need to stay together, I can position them so that they're physically touching, so that if I move one, I don't forget to move the other one. And I can also see all the gaps that were left to write. As I said, I started this about halfway through the book, so when I wrote the second half of the book, I could write it, with the entries in mind where I needed to fill the gaps. And finally, just like the people at Kripalu, when I needed to change the order of two entries, instead of searching and cutting and pasting and wondering where everything needed to go, I could stand in front of them, look at them, grab the two entries, and just move them on the wall. It was great. So the quick and dirty tip is, if you have a huge project to organize, like a book, think about using paper. For me, it really worked much better than a spreadsheet. This week we're sponsored by Audible, the internet's leading provider of spoken word entertainment. Just type audiblepodcast.com/GG into your browser and go to this page where you can sign up for your free trial and get an audiobook to keep, even if you cancel. Once you're a member like me, you can go to this page and choose your free audiobook. I see this week they're featuring Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Let's listen to the reader and see how the book sounds.
Mr. Bennet was among the earliest of those who waited on Mr. Bingley. He had always intended to visit him, though to the last always assuring his wife that he should not go.
Not bad if you like a British accent. If you want something else, you could choose Money Girl's audiobook, Money Girl's Guide to Retirement Planning. But Audible has over 60,000 audiobooks for you to choose from, so really you can get whatever you want. That's all. Thanks for watching.